Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
Good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to Brooklyn, Michigan's virtual Michigan International Speedway. We're tucked away in Michigan's Irish Hills. The Real Sim Racing Icebreaker Winter Series roars into town for race number 2 of 10 on the 4th annual Icebreaker season for tonight's Michigan 180. And we welcome you topside into the Inside Sim Racing TV broadcast hour alongside Andy Kessler and Jacob Zielbert. My name is Evan Pasoko. We're happy to have you along for the ride for this presentation of Real Sim Racing on LSRTV and iRacing Live. Our RSR driver analyst Thomas J. George up in the booth with us again. We'll also hear from RSR in-race reporter EJ O'Rourke as the night progresses. However, 90 laps, that's 180 miles, Jacob. That's the name of the game for round number 2.
Yeah, it is the name of the game, and that's exactly the same game that these guys, for those who were in the RSR Full Throttle Cup Series this season and ran the 2 races at Michigan, exactly the same race length as we dealt with for that one. You think it's a lot of time, but it's really not a lot of time, Evan. You've got to really be on your game. Likely you're only going to get 1 pit stop. Depending on how cautions fall, you may get 2 if you're lucky, but you've got to really have them fall just about perfect to get 2 stops. You can if you squeeze it out, Andy, you can just about make it on a 1-stop race. If you get a caution flag or 2 in this, you can certainly make it happen on 1 pit stop. And these guys all going to be keeping an eye on that as the race progresses.
As caution flags get to dictate the way this race looks. We come out of Talladega. As you take a look at your championship standings, they sit exactly as the finishing results for round 1 were. Daniel E. Eberhardt got the checkered flag. He leads by 5 points in front of Nicholas Orth, Eric Arnold, Tyler Herr, and Nelson Rivera, the top 5 of the points. So your top 5 from last week at Talladega, Andy. This race, though, originally was an 80-lap event. It's been 90 for the last 2 years, and Jacob's exactly right. If we go green, this race, when you're looking at it, 38 seconds per lap is a pretty good lap time when you're talking about Michigan. If we go green, it could be a very short race, but the cautions may dictate a large part of the strategy based on what the drivers are talking about.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, tires are going to obviously be a premium, and tires, new tires to the old tires can also be about a 2-second per lap difference. So you might see some of the guys towards the back of the pack maybe try something different, maybe try a 2-stop race and take advantage of the fresh tires. And you might also see the guys trying to stretch the fuel and make it on 1 stop. So it's going to be an interesting thing to keep an eye on as this goes on. But I imagine we see a caution somewhere, within the first 20 laps or so. That'll definitely throw everything out the window.
About 40 drivers get set to take to the track. Qualifying it begins now to round to a close. So with that, we go trackside for tonight's opening ceremonies into the seed of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
A big thank you to Jaden Berkey for the seed of tonight's national anthem. Qualifying is done. The cars are on the grid, and let's take a look at your LSRTV starting grid for the Michigan 180. Thomas J. George said that at the beginning of qualifying, it was a surprise driver up there. I was skeptical and said, no, there's still 12 minutes of open queue, but it was enough to hang on. From 38th in practice to the top of the board with a 38.799. It'll be the number 69 of William Amaker, rolling from pole position. Outside pole goes to the 23rd practicer, Mike Rominger. Anthony DeBarro will start tonight's race inside our own number 2 in the 3rd spot. Outside of him in 4th, the fastest driver in practice in Jeff Ward, and Corbin Hemstreet is 5th.
Yeah, first career pole for Amaker as we look back through the next 5. David Comstock, former champion of this series, rolls 6th. Christopher Hurlow, 7th. Justin Michael in 8th. Chad Cole, former RSR champ, 9th. Austin Yarborough rounds out the top 10.
Rolling off 11th tonight, the 70 of Scott Eric. Daniel Eberhardt's going to start 12th. 13th, Brian Terry. Nelson Rivera will start 14th. 15th goes to Stephanie Lessitine. Adam Benefield, 16th, 17th to E.J. O'Rourke. Jonathan Cadell starts 18th, 19th is Dwayne Vincent, and William Hale is 20th.
21st could be the Toyota Matt Lacrosse. Rhett McBride just behind Tim in 22nd. 23rd, Jared Como, Nicholas Orth, and Joseph LaPlaca through 25th. And then Eric Arnold, Mike Montesi, Skisco Scarmuza, Mike Kelly, and Kevin Linden through 30th.
31st, Dale Rentz. 32nd, Nick Silver tonight. Paul Fugate, Greg Omo, Jason Swan, the last car to take time in 35th. Provisionals, Tyler Herr, Jimmy North, Gabe Wood, J. Randall Watkins, Tom Dryerling, and Sean Meyer, 41st. That's a look at your 41-car starting grid tonight in the Irish Hills of Michigan. And now for the start of tonight's Pure Michigan 180, I'll throw it to my left to LSRTV's Evan Pasoko.
90 laps and 180 miles on tap tonight. The American Childhood Cancer Organization Ford Mustang GT pace car going to make the sharp left-hand turn, get down and get out of the way. It's his first career pole. He'll lead us at a turn number 4. The driver of the number 69, William Amaker, on the loud pedal. Green flag flies, racing at Michigan for round number 2 on the RSR Icebreaker Winter Series campaign. Had a good jump topside as well. They're just about as bunched together as they were at Talladega last week. Down to turns 1 and 2 for the first time. Advantage slowly going to swing to the bottom of the racetrack. The 69 car run through turn 2. To the bottom, though, Anthony DeBarro. He makes it 3 wide, now 2 wide for the race lead.
Down the back straightaway we go, and already 3 wide just behind the 8 of Chad Cole, who's fighting on the bottom of the racetrack, Evan. And a gutsy move early on in this one by the 93 of E.J. O'Rourke. He powers to try to get a couple of cars. The 7 of Nelson Rivera way up to the top side. Everything starting to cycle out. Lap 1 in the books as they head back to 1.
Amaker is going to be able to break free at the front of the field. This racetrack, a 2-mile D-shaped oval, very similar to what we saw just a couple of weeks ago at a NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series at Fontana. It is very wide. You can fan out on these restarts, and we saw that around P10 for the drop of the green flag. It looked like DeBarro was going to get the race lead. It didn't quite work out. In fact, he fell to third spot after the 9 car got tight down at a turn number 2 on the opening lap. He was passed by the 15 to Jeff Ward. They'll take that spot right back, though. It's the number 9 Chevrolet jumps up to P2. Ward back to third, and for the time being, your top 5 cars single file behind them, though different story. First battle on the racetrack, the 14 to David Comstock. He's mixing it up with the number 3 on the bottom, and Justin Michael.
Yeah, Justin Michael making a charge early, and Comstock's really hung out to dry with nowhere to go. Comes the 87 of Christopher Hurlow on the way through, and 1 car in the wall up top, Evan. I think that was the 54 of Austin Yarborough that got into the fence off of the turn number 2 and slapped the wall pretty good.
Yarborough's involved in the contact. Luckily for him, though, that Jack Daniels machine goes on, and it's last week's winner, Daniel E. Eberhardt from Talladega. Small contact that Andy Chevrolet ushered up the hill, and he caught the fence at a 2. It slowed him down all the way through that long back straightaway. These B cars very momentum-based. That killed him. He went from a top 10 car to 29th.
Yeah, you'll see that all night long. Momentum is a big factor here coming off these corners. If these guys have to let off at all to not hit the wall or not hit a guy inside of them or on the outside, that's definitely going to be something that they're going to wish that didn't happen, because just like Daniel Eberhardt right there, that's going to drop him all the way back through the field and way back there, all the way into 29th spot right now. So Eberhardt running in the top 12 spot right there. Now finds himself having to deal with a lot of traffic.
And despite these guys being very aggressive at the start of this Michigan 180, they're using the width of this racetrack to be able to do those battles and do them safely. Still green through lap 5. Battle for the race lead. Top side, the number 9 of Anthony DeBarro. Been trailing the line of that 69 for the last 2 laps. He goes top side at a turn number 2. Not going to get cleared, though, into quarter number 3 at Amaker. Going to make the run back down on the inside of the racetrack, Thomas. A very large racetrack, speeds at this track rivaling that of what we would see in these cars at a Daytona or Talladega. Unlike most racetracks that aren't a plate race, though, this draft is a huge part of this race, and you see that with that 50 to Jeff Ward. He pushes the 69 all the way to turn 1.
Yeah, Michigan and Auto Club specifically, very similar tracks. They've always been very draft heavy. Now, there's a lot of tracks that are bigger out from the circuit, but with this one, you have to use the draft to your advantage to get the lead and get positions. That you see DeBarro using Jeff Ward there, trying to clear 69, and it looks like he might have it going into 3. But you also, with this particular track in Michigan, same with Auto Club as well, the surface is very, very abrasive. So as these tires wear off, you're going to start seeing who takes care of their tires. If it goes green, who's going to get the long run.
And a loose condition is what we saw at Fontana in the Cup cars with the Pro guys a couple of weeks ago. Not Jacob, what the drivers are talking about here tonight. Everybody's saying the car starts off tight and it's not getting any better. Give them 10 to 15 laps and the tires are really going to get tight on them. So track position key at the beginning of a run. But that 9 of Anthony DeBarro, he made that pass topside, and it was the Earnhardt sucker hole for that number 69 machine of Amaker who fell to 4th.
Yeah, he did fall to 4th. He's trying to work his way back around. Battle for 3rd with DeBarro's teammate Corbin Hemstreet, who's running a very special tribute paint scheme tonight, Evan. His dad passing away a couple years ago. Corbin's dad would have been 50 years old tonight, and the young driver out of Utah trying to carry his father to victory lane with that very special Boomtown Sim race car here this evening. Battle back in the pack, about 7th through 9th. We were almost 3 wide a moment ago. The 87 of Christopher Hurlow right in the middle of that mess gets clear ahead of the 29 Mike Rominger, 54 of Austin Yarborough, 70 Scott Eckridge. That's a 3-man fight for 8th down the back.
And Yarborough finds himself on the inside of the racetrack. Outside is Rominger in the car trailing that 70 of Eckridge. He'll choose the inside after the 54. Ducks low, slides high to get that position. So give that spot to the 54 of Austin J. Yarborough. He'll take 8th away from Rominger. A little bit of a close call there between the 70 and the 29 on the front straightaway. Some drivers have, but not the majority. Been going down to that apron on the front straightaway. It is, though, in fair play. And now the 70 car on the inside, which seems to be the preferred lane. Both the slide job cars get going to get tight. He rolls out of the gas. Not enough, though, to keep it out of the fence. Scott Eckridge going to pound the wall out of 2. That's at least 5, 6, now 7 spots as he slowly tries to get that car back on the gas to turn 3. Hard lick to the right side.
Back almost to 18th goes the 70 of Scott Eckridge. I think that's about where he's going to land when we come back across the stripe this time. And Thomas, I hate to say it, but I think we have not seen the last of that here tonight. As Evan mentioned, these cars only going to get even tighter. Eckridge managed to stabilize himself out in 15th, but you're going to have to avoid that. You're going to have to allow for that as this green flag run goes on, because it's not going to get any easier to drive these suckers.
Yeah, turn 2 off of out of Michigan is very notorious for getting a push tight, push loose scenario, and that's the problem that these drivers are going to be facing. Like you said, all night, they're going to want to keep that momentum going. They don't want to lose it, but they also have to realize that if they don't lift off just a little bit, they'll end up pancaking the wall, and it'll end up making their car even worse than it already is. And with aerodynamics here being so important, the best thing you can do is try and keep it off that wall, even at the cost of a position or 2, so that way you're in position to do something later on in the race.
This race down green through the lap number 10 marker. We talk about the fuel strategy in this. You're looking anywhere from 35 to 42 laps, Andy, what these guys can do. And as we say that, the battle for the race lead back at it, it's Jeff Ward, fastest driver in practice. Normally, I caution that practice speeds aren't normally indicative of a long run, but the 15 machine, after qualifying in 4th, he goes to the point, and that Nana DeBarro falls back to 2nd at this time. At this moment, we're looking at about quarter distance through what would be a fuel run, 35 to 42 laps. That puts you on a 1 or 2 stop strategy depending on how much fuel you think you can save, and caution depending. But the beginning of this race is not what we normally see at Michigan. In the last 2 years, this race has averaged 6.5 caution flags per event, so you've got to be thinking that a caution is going to be a part of it. But now we're starting to see the point on the green flag run at lap 12. These tires are going to really start to fall off now, and you kind of have to lock yourself into a long run mode.
Yeah, the long run's going to be key when the cars start to get spread out like this. We saw a couple close calls off turn 2, and fortunate that those guys that hit the wall were able to keep that straight. Sometimes you'll see them, they'll hit that wall and come right back in front of the guys that they're racing with, and we were fortunate there. A couple good pieces of driving by those drivers, Everhart and the 70 of Eckridge. So once these guys get strung out like they are, you're going to see little packs like we see the top 4 kind of running together, and that's all based on the draft. And if they can be able to maintain that, you'll see these little packs of cars all throughout the field. But as long as they're spread out like this, the green flag and the green flag stops are definitely something you're going to see here tonight.
Yeah, and we will see that, Andy, as the race goes on. Pretty good little battle still shaping up now for 2nd. The 2 teammates out of RCO Boomtown Sim, Anthony DeBarro, Corbin Hemstreet, right now riding P2 and P3. Corbin looks like he's getting a little bit racy, trying to peak to the bottom of the racetrack in turn number 2. No dice. He's got to fall back into line about a car length, or maybe now half a car length behind his teammate. Again, William Amaker, the pole sitter in qualifying, sitting back there in 4th, and David Comstock in 5th right now. Somebody who's really making a nice move, though, Evan, a little bit further back than these guys, as Hemstreet goes to the bottom for 2nd. But the guy I'm watching, the number 2, Steel Horse Racing's Rhett McBride, 22nd up to 13th and climbing here in this early run. He's trying to pick another one off from Dwayne Vincent.
As soon as you said that, I looked through it. I said, who's got a good plus-minus? And that's Rhett McBride at 9 in the bank so far. Trying to get up to Dwayne Vincent. Vincent actually getting a spot in his own right from the 29 of Mike Rominger. That's somebody who's not having a good run. 23rd fastest car in practice. Qualified P2, but right now falling back to P12. He's lost 10 spots in the opening 15 laps. His job not going to get any easier because of 2 McBride on his bumper. He's got the 7. And Elson Rivera, the 29, now sideways at a turn 4. He'll spin down in the grass, and he's going to go back up on the racetrack. He avoids the pit lane, doesn't go all the way around. Nobody going to get into him. We stay clean and green, but Rominger, who had lost those 10 spots, he's going to lose a lot more, as he's only doing about 125 miles an hour now, getting back up to speed. You can put him all the way down to P38.
All the way to the tail of the lead lap. Another driver who's starting to drop down the running order is the driver who led this race not all that long ago, Anthony DeBarro. And now, as we say that, the caution flag flies for the first time tonight here at lap 16.
And the common denominator is a car that got in the fence, the 70 of Scott Eckridge. We mentioned that driver a little bit early on in tonight's race. Started 11th, was running in 20th position at that time. And we talk about cars getting loose, which is interesting, Thomas, because we saw that 29 actually spin through 4. Eckridge, though, his car was tight. He pushed all the way up in front of Jared Como. There was nothing that 24 Chevy could do. He tagged the 70, and that's what spun Scott around. Great job by a lot of those guys to use that apron to avoid getting into the 70 machine. I know another driver did spin out trying to avoid him. He will avoid further accident. That was J. Randall Watkins. So turn 2 strikes again, and as Jacob said it, and we'll be saying all night long, turn 2, a very tight part on the racetrack, and when you do that in front of somebody, probably not the best place to lose a lot of speed.
Yeah, it's really not, Evan. And like I said, that's Calamity Corner here at Michigan, and that's where we're going to have to be keeping an eye on it all night long. But where we're keeping an eye here as we circulate under the first caution flag of the night is the 15 of Jeff Ward, who leads the race. You'll see a replay of the caution flag right now on your screen. In the other part of our double box, the leaders are headed towards pit road.
And Jeff Ward going to lead him down. He'll be down to the number 4 pit stall. Behind him, Corbin Hemstreet into number 5. We'll see what William Amaker can do, though, Andy. The 69 was your pole sitter. He comes in 3rd. He's hoping that number 1 box can help him out. The general consensus, I believe, amongst the drivers, 4 tires whenever you can get them.
Yeah, under caution, you're going to see these guys take 4 tires. As Ward and Hemstreet both overshoot their box, so does DeBarro. So this might give Amaker a real good shot at coming out ahead of these guys. All 3 of those guys overshot their pit stall, so tough break for them. They might lose a couple more positions other than the ones they did, but Amaker, he's down and away. Looks like Ward's going to come out second, but yeah, under caution, you're going to see these guys take the 4 tires. They're not going to play games like that. The only time you might see some guys try some 2-tire strategy would be on a green flag stop, give them a little bit more of a track position advantage to some of these guys. They'll still lose time as far as speed-wise, but over the long run, it could actually loosen them up a little bit and actually make them a little faster. So we'll see how it plays out if we get a green flag pit stop. But this is exactly what I talked about at the beginning. Somewhere around lap 20, we might see a caution. If we do, that pretty much throws out the window of their strategy. So, these guys are definitely going to have to make at least one more pit stop tonight, possibly at least one more, I would say.
If we go green, they would like to split it in half and do one more stop, but at this point, a cycle of bad pit stops for some of your leaders and a good qualifying effort allows that 69 of William Amaker to retake the race lead. The number 69 Chevrolet back out and in front of the field under the caution flag. One driver that has been somewhat quiet but is creeping his way forward, the Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet of Dwayne Vincent, your 2015 RSR Full Throttle Cup Series champion, as well defending race winner here at Michigan. He won the 2013-2014 installment of this race was won by Brian Macklin. Dwayne won the 2014-2015 installment, so he won this race 1 year ago, Jacob, up to P10. It's a positive 9. That's good, but Dwayne Vincent at this moment not showing the raw speed. Was a top 12 car in practice. He's looking to work on that machine as we get things doubled up, because I have a feeling, although he doesn't look that hot right now, he'll be up there by the time we get to about lap 80.
Well, of course, that's Dwayne's M.O., Evan, and, you stop and say he hasn't shown the raw speed. He's still gotten halfway through the cars he needed to pass on this first run. The problem is you're just mired so deeply in traffic, where he started back there in 19th. It's very, very difficult to make passes in the draft starting all the way back there. It takes a while to get through, and I think that's a little bit of what Dwayne has seen in this first run. Now that he's up to the top 10, I think you'll see him have a much easier time being able to get towards the front of the field and be extremely competitive here tonight. It's just one step at a time for the RSR Full Throttle Cup champ.
And it's something that Andy mentioned as well. These cars kind of drive like Indy cars do, and that is they're breaking up into packs. If you're not on the tail end of that lead pack, you're going to fall a couple of seconds off, and you're going to be stuck fighting for about 5 guys around P10. That's the situation for the driver of the 13. The pace car going to get out of the way, though, second time in a row, first time off of a caution flag. William Amaker brings us back across the start-finish line. Green flag back and away we go. Side by side, door to door for second bottom belongs to Christopher Hurley. Top side is Jeff Ward, and that 87 on the bottom of the racetrack. He's got some drafting help. David Comstock on the bumper in 1.
Yeah, Comstock, I'm not surprised at this. He's the reigning champion of this series. He's trying to make his move towards the front. Chad Cole as well, having a great run on the restart. He is moving forward, punches his way into the top 5. Now Jeff Ward goes wide, trying to roll the high side momentum in turns 3 and 4, trying to hold Comstock off at the exit of the corner. Comstock in the Monster Machine, going to go back to the bottom, and it's almost going to be 3 wide. Ward now on the attack with Herlo for second.
14 to Comstock, he's fallen behind that 15 to Jeff Ward, so Jeff Ward got that spot, and he's trying the outside of the racetrack. So far, the bottom seems to have been the place to be, but the 15 to Jeff Ward wants to wind her up top side. He'll use the run off of the corner to pull even with that 87 to Christopher Herlo. Not enough to gain an advantage down to turn 3, though, Andy behind him. David Comstock, he's sitting, he's watching the side-by-side. He's waiting until he sees which lane is faster. He's kind of choosing right now as he sits right in the middle of them at a 4.
Yeah, it's kind of a tough spot to be in. You just don't know which lane to go in, especially when 2 guys are running side by side like they are just ahead of them for that second spot. You talk about going right to the bottom and the bottom place to be. Well, as we're looking on board with Comstock on this side-by-side view here, you can see that the bottom lane isn't actually down at that yellow or white line at the bottom of the corner. That bottom lane, because of the progressive banking at this track, that bottom lane ends up being really, really loose. It almost plays like the apron. If you get on that bottom lane, that right where that groove is, right where you see these guys are driving, if you get below that, the car can tend to get really, really loose. And you can see some guys have some issues if they end up getting down there. So the bottom lane really isn't the bottom lane. It's like the second groove up, but that's where these guys can really carry their speed.
And those seams on the racetrack, especially at a track like Michigan, allows these drivers to kind of get an advantage point, and they know where they want to go. It looks like on the bottom, Thomas, these guys planting those left side tires right on that first or second seam in the corner. They don't want to get down there because, again, we talk about a tight condition. You might think you want to go down where it's flat to get that car a little bit loose. Not the case, though. It'll snap right around on you there. So they're leaving about 5, 6, 7 feet or so right from that first seam down to the white line where nobody's going.
Yeah, going below that bottom seam there, it tends to make this car very loose on the bottom. And that's not to say that you can't make it stick there and say a late race restart kind of deal where you're trying to get as many positions as you can. But right now, being so early on in the race, these guys are just trying to feel out what their cars are doing, what they're going to have to do later in the race, how they're going to have to save their tires. And right now, you obviously see a lot of pack racing, you see a lot of momentum racing going on here. But once those tires start wearing off, like I mentioned earlier, you'll start, if we can get a green run going, you'll start seeing them span out just a little bit more and more. And I think we got a battle for third here, guys.
Got a big problem for the 17. I know back in the pack it is, but it was last week's runner-up, the 17 to Nicholas Orth. He just pounded the fence in 2. He's going to be now the last driver on the lead lap, and actually the last of active cars, because nobody loses the lead lap in that tire exchange. Battle is on, though, for P3. The bottom is where Austin Yarbrough wants to get the job done. Herlo, though, not going to give up. He battles back out of 2.
And while he battles back, battle for the lead. Down the back straightaway, Jeff Ward looking to the inside of William Amaker. He's got the preferred lane into turn 3. Amaker, no contest, lets him go. Jeff Ward, the Kentucky Bandit, on top of the pile. He leads with 25 complete this time.
And the immediate objective for that 69 of William Amaker, get in the draft, get behind him, and hustle after him. That battle side by side for second, which you would have imagined would have helped him pull away early, wasn't enough for that 69 to hold the gap over Jeff Ward. Ward got the spot, eventually caught him at about 2-3 laps once he got to the clean air. Now that battle remains for P3. The 54 of Amaker had the 54 of Arbrough. He was fighting with Amaker earlier, and then that number 69 machine lost a spot on the inside of the racetrack. The 54 passed topside. However, trying to get around Herlo, 54 tried the bottom. That did not work now, and it was the defensive lane on the outside of the racetrack for the number 87 of Herlo to be able to get the spot, get the job done. He'll now find himself in third, and Yarbrough's got to deal with David Comstock on the outside of the racetrack. You talk about a track like Michigan, how the tires are so very tight. Yarbrough's somebody that we've almost overlooked so far, Andy. P10 to P4, he's up 6 spots in a top 5 spot. He's got company behind him, though. The 41 of Him Street follows. Caution flag will fly. It's problems in turn number 2, and it looks like the 6 of Tom Dryerleins, his Fanatic Chevrolet, sideways.
Yeah, we take a look at him having some issues, obviously, in the corner here, Tom Dryerling. Not sure if he had any Yeah, it looks like the 84 actually got in the wall in front of him and came down into him. So Jimmy North having some issues here, getting into the corner, getting into turn one. Kind of a odd place to see it, but we've seen it there in the past, Evan, with these cars. Sometimes that they just misjudge the entrance to the corner, and you come down, especially with that. I'm not sure if he tapped the. Yeah, it looks like exactly what I was thinking. He came into turn one, and that safer barrier really kind of juts out at you. And if you're really not paying attention or you miss your turn in, that safer barrier could really catch you by surprise. And it looks like exactly what happened to the 84.
And I'm not going to claim that that's never happened to me, Thomas, and I won't ask you if it's happened to you, but it happens. That safer barrier jumps out. However, it looked like Jimmy got on the fence a little bit before that safer barrier, and then it really pounded on him. We talk about these cars being so tight, trying to get as wide of an arc as you can. How often do you see a mistake like that by somebody where they just graze the fence, but because of the way it works, that car just gets absolutely stuck on the wall. You can't get it off, and then you spin back down. How often does that happen at a track like this where it's so tight you want to get the best arc you can, you go a little bit too wide?
Well, I can go from personal experience and say every time I come to Michigan, I'm pretty sure I grazed it at least once, but luckily it doesn't. But it's not bad enough to where it sucks me up into the wall. I haven't had that happen yet, and it probably will now the next race I do. But, yeah, because the thing with like you pretty much said, the way that these cars are, they're so tight. Through the center of the corner off, that you want to get the best arc possible, and you want to get the momentum off the corner so you're not. And apparently David Comstock just slid through his pit stall again, and I'm trying to manage different things here. I'm not a good broadcaster or anything like that, but looks like Hurl's gonna. Did he get the off pit road there, guys?
It was quite the drag race. He's going to pull in front of Amaker. They're going to give it to him. So he wins the race off for the pit lane. That number one pit stall was not quite enough for William Amaker to be able to lead the race off for the pit lane. It looks like Christopher Hurlo is going to be going to the top spot. Let's check in with our Real Sid Racing race reporter for the first time tonight. And we keep talking about these race cars. Let's get the opinion from somebody that's been behind the wheel all night long. We'll cue up the driver of the 93, EJ O'Rourke on the radio. EJ, it's Evan Pasoko, Andy Kessler, and and Jacob Seelman in the booth. You got a copy?
Got a copy.
We got you on the radio here. It's lap 29, so you guys are going to be at third distance through this, and you're working under your second caution flag on the race. We're talking about a lot of things about these cars. We're talking about the cars being tight. We're talking about the line and where not to go and all of this. You've been behind the wheel, though, at the gmercer.com Chevy from the start of the race. You guys are doing all right up 3 spots from the beginning. What's the car like out there?
The car drives fine. It's so hard to pass back here. It's such a draft track, and wish you can get a little bit of a long run to see where the actual driver makes a difference here.
We noticed when you guys are stringing out on a green flag run, haven't seen a really long one, but we've seen a couple of decent ones as the lights go off in a pace car. You guys are kind of getting stuck in groups of 4 or 5 based on the draft. Is that what you're finding back there around P20 or so, where it's a lot thicker, the traffic, as opposed to up front?
Yeah, it's just hard to make any moves with this 93 Gary Mercer Trucking Chevrolet. Draft is such an advantage. You could be, a few tenths off pace and just hang in the back of a little group of guys and keep up. And it's almost like a restrictor plate race back here. Track position is really important. If I think I can get to 10th, I can run top 10 the rest of the time. Just about getting the track position.
Hey, AJ, it's Thomas up in the booth. Before we let you go, let me ask you something. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
All right, we were talking about this under caution a few minutes ago. Are you trying to arc in the corner from the very top, trying to get the momentum out of the backside of the corner?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Especially, I lift early and then turn it in and try to save the entry, or wearing the tires on the entry and pay off on the exit. It might be a little bit slower on the first part of the run, but later on it should help a lot. And we'll see. We'll see where this thing goes to.
EJ, we'll let you get back to the team radio here for the restart. Best of luck.
Thank you.
We let EJ O'Rourke get back to the Tibby Hill Motorsports radio channel, and with that, we get set to go back green. First time on the night. It is not the 69 of William Amaker in control for the second of our restarts. It'll be Christopher Hurlo on the inside of the front lane. The pace car dives out of the way of Air Cadet and all. Green flag flies, back in the air we go, and that 69 of Amaker did not get going. Big check up top side, the inside by 3 cars to the bottom of the racetrack. The advantage, the 15 and a 9 get through.
Yeah, not just Anthony DeBarro and Jeff Ward, but now continuing problems for William Amaker, and he spun the tires bad on that restart. The 83 of Adam Benefiel from 16th. He's on the move up to try and take the 5th spot away now from that 69 machine. And Thomas, you talk about how tough these restarts can be. William Amaker just saw that firsthand. It got really nasty.
Yeah, oh man, I don't mean to say anything, but Benefield just threw the block on him there. Anyway, yeah, the restarts here can be very, very treacherous. If you're not careful, you will end up spinning tires, and I've been involved in a couple of incidents where I think last year was in the Cup Series, I ended up getting taken out right at the very start because of the horsepower difference in there. But even in the lower tier series, as we got battle for lead with Jeff Ford and Christopher Hurlow, yeah, I'll let you take it.
Ward on through Thomas and grabs the top spot back away here with 32 laps complete. That may be short-lived. Anthony DeBarro, Ward slices to the bottom of the racetrack, Evan. Almost took the nose of that number 9 machine off, and now the teammates left to do battle for second. Jeff Ward, the man on the move.
And he's going to come down in front of that 9, closes off the inside from Anthony DeBarro, and now the 9 and the 87 fight side by side, past 1/3 distance at Michigan. We work lap 33 of 90 down the back straightaway. The 87 topside Hurlow trying to get in front of his teammate. He won't do so, so we're side by side, 2 rows deep. In the middle of all of that, Adam Benefiel, Andy, have not said that name yet tonight, but the 83 Toyota, 16th to 4th, and he wants some more topside across the start-finish line.
Yeah, a couple good restarts for him, a couple good stops on pit road, making up a couple positions each time. That's what his crew has been able to do for him, and that's got him the track position he needs to battle these guys up here in the top 5. So Adam Benefiel doing a great job here, and once he's got here, he's doing a real good job of hanging on to it right now. He's got a little bit of company just behind him, Justin Michael in that 3 car. He's starting to pull in close with that draft right now, but Adam Benefiel trying to make some work over Amaker right here, try to get in that 4th spot, but definitely a good run for him, a good start to the race. We'll see if he can keep it up here all night.
And he's been incredibly quiet tonight. We look on board with the onboard rig cam for Jonathan Cadell back at 18th. They are 3 wide across the start-finish line. Way up against the fence is the 24 of Jared Como, and pinched in the middle, the 26 of William Hale. There's room to do it as long as nobody gets tight in the middle of the quarter. You see that 11, he had to enter way down low, Jacob, where we said these guys don't want to be. And the back end of that Toyota got a little bit tail happy. He stepped it up the hill. He lost the battle between those 2 spots. In fact, the car in the middle won it. That 26 of William Hale wins the battle. The 24 comes out second, and now that 11 of Cadell back to the bottom of the racetrack. He'll get the move, following him through the 93 of EJ O'Rourke. Both these guys trying to battle some of that traffic together.
Yeah, and keep in mind, Hale and Como are de facto teammates, more or less, through the Boomtown Sim Technical Alliance here on track. So Hale moving on through. Out front, though, Jeff Ward moving on away from the rest of this field. This is the biggest lead we've seen from anybody tonight. He's got almost 5 car lengths over Anthony DeBarro, Christopher Hurlow in 3rd, then William Amaker, Adam Benefiel, the top 5. And how about the march, Evan, for Dwayne Vincent? He continues to roll forward, now up inside the top 7. He rides P7. He's looking for 6th. He's trying to get it from Justin Michael.
The number 11 of Jonathan Cadell sliding, and he's okay. The caution flag will fly. The problem is not for the 11 of Jonathan Cadell. It's behind him at a turn number 4. Caution flag will fly at lap number 37 as we try to get a number on that car. Yellow flag is out, though. There was a lot going on in mid-pack. The 24 of Jared Como slowed on the front straightaway. He's going to be involved in this accident after it was he who got sideways just behind that 11 of Cadell. At a turn number 4, 4's a lot looser than turn 2 tonight. Second spin through there. He comes up on track, and he was stationary in the middle of the racetrack. I don't think he got nailed, though. I think they got away with that one.
I think they did get away with it just barely, and we'll get a look at the replay right now, Evan. This could have been a whole lot worse than it actually was, and in the meantime, we sit under caution for the 3rd time tonight, and we sit with Dominic Carr forming up behind the pace car here. Jeff Ward, your leader, and he was starting to motor away here as now we get ever closer to halfway, 38 complete this time by.
And it has been primarily a 2 or 3 car battle with Jeff Ford, Anthony DeBarro, Christopher Hurlow, and company running there up at the front. And at any other track, if you're a little bit quicker than somebody, could probably get away from them. At Michigan, though, that draft keeps them honest. Anthony DeBarro was hanging out at about 5 car lengths back, just shy of the halfway point. They just pitted. How important are tires as they ride the bottom through turn number 4? These guys really mentioned 12 to 15 laps is the big drop-off, but it looks like they want tires every time they can get. Andy, leaders back down again at lap 38.
Yeah, all the leaders heading back down. About a 10-lap run right there. It was about 10 laps on the previous run also. So just like they said, 10 to 15 laps, tires are a premium. You're not going to see any of these leaders staying out right now. They're all coming down pit road at the service of their crew. Looks like everybody going to make their way into their pit stall right where they need to be. It almost looked like DeVaro slid through it just a bit, but he was able to come to a stop, and everybody getting 4 tires and fuel, and we'll give this thing a shot again. Looks like a couple guys maybe in the back of the pack there, the 21 and Matt Lacrosse. He might have taken 2. We'll check the replay.
Looks like the aided Chad Cole as well going to take 2 tires. That will put the Valvoline Chevrolet in the first spot out of the pit lane. However, Eric Arnold, Daniel E. Eberhardt, Jason Swan, and Joseph LaPlaca stay out. Just shy of the halfway point in the Michigan 180. We'll take this opportunity, step away for a quick break on LSRTV. We'll be back for the restart. The 79 car is in front.
While lions are notorious for their voracious appetites, they spend a great deal of time feeding other creatures. In fact, lions will take great care to ensure there's plenty to go around. As you can see, they keep giving with utter ferocity. Bravo, lions, and bon appetit. Do good, be a lion. Being the best, what it looks like to be a cut up of the...
Our research shows drivers won a league with no
cheating,
kids wrecking me,
admin favoritism, multiple fast repairs,
intentional wrecks.
Drivers we interviewed also won a league with
clean competitive racing, clear-cut rules,
enjoys having all the drivers,
a full field of drivers,
end-of-year cash purse,
follows the rules on a constant basis.
At Domino's TYJ Racing, we listened to the drivers and created a league with high integrity and professionalism just like Domino's Pizza has maintained for the last 55 years. Claim your share of the over $3,000 purse by applying today at Domino'sTYJRacing.com for one of the few remaining Cup car rides or your seat in our action-packed truck series.
Yo, I dropped the 88. Ricky Bobby, shake and bake, sleeping on it, should have stayed awake, huh?
We're back live at the virtual Michigan International Speedway, getting set for a restart. 5 laps shy of the halfway point at a Michigan 180, and it's quite the scenario up front. A quick caution flag gives us the strategy card for the first time tonight. 1, 2, 3 stay out, P4 and 5 on 2 tires, and 6th through 39th for fresh Goodyear Eagles. The pace car going to make the sharp left-hand turn down. Let's see how important tires are at Michigan. It'll be with 50 laps to go. The 79 of Joseph LaPlaca will lead the way at a turn number 4. Green flag flies and back on it. Spins the tires a little bit. The 90 car going to get the advantage topside. That is your race winner from Talladega, Daniel E. Eberhardt. He was in an accident in the opening 5 laps. He wants the race lead. They're 4 wide behind him. Look at the tires for Matt Lacrosse to the inside.
Yeah, Lacrosse, that was a power move. Chad Cole's trying to come up the middle of the racetrack in that Valvoline machine. They squeeze off turn number 2 and somehow manage to funnel it back out. Jeff Ward all the way to the apron of the back straightaway. He's going 4 wide. We're in turn 3 with no end in sight.
They're using every single inch of the racetrack. You see that 31 of Eric Arnold. No tires. He's going backwards in the middle. We'll go 4 wide again to the inside. The 20 to Matt Lacrosse. He'll get down. He'll get down in front of the 15 to Jeff Ward. We're still going at it. Meanwhile, Daniel E. Eberhardt, who had the lead the last time by the start, finished on outside of the top 15. Still 3 wide for P5 in the middle. The 93 machine trying to get up to the middle. That's E.J. O'Rourke. There's the contact. The 15 car. Jeff Ward going to get turned around. The big one out of 2.
That's half the field right there. Ward all the way to the bottom and socks the inside safer barrier hard. Christopher Hurlow got a piece of that one. Adam Benefield got a piece of it. I think Amaker may have gotten a little piece of it. Yes, he did. Caution flag waves at lap number 42, and it is a mess here at Michigan.
And we will repeat that Michigan's wide enough for 5 wide, but Thomas, when you put a car down below that seam, which we've been talking about tonight, basically that's the apron at Michigan, below that first paving seam. Well, that's where Jeff Ward was. The car got a little bit sideways, and he tried to catch it, and once he overcorrected that slightest bit, he stepped up the hill. He tagged the 93 car of O'Rourke, who spins it out down the apron, but after they wrecked behind him, that was at least a dozen cars, if we're being hopeful there. Quite a few of them spin to the inside. A lot of guys lucky to make it through that, but a big accident. And I'm impressed that they made it that far, going 4 and 5 wide. But eventually, when someone's getting forced down there to where there's virtually no grip and there's no room for them to step up the hill to try to get out of that area, something's going to happen. And unfortunately, that racetrack just got way too thin out of 2.
Oh, it was a blast watching it up here, and until the wreck happened, of course. Yeah. But like I said earlier, you can make that bottom work for oh so long. And Jeff was trying. He was doing it in 3 and 4. He was trying in 1 and 2. I think he's trying to get desperately back up to the front. But the problem is, and it's the same thing that happened to me in Auto Club back in the spring. If you get back in the throttle just a little too early with the wheel cranked too much, those back tires are going to slide. And I think if he had turned it to the left and just slid to the inside, even if the caution had come out, he probably could have saved his car and been able to keep going, but he tried to correct it, and when you're trying to correct it in that situation 4 wide in Michigan, hate to say it, but the wreck that just happens, what the result is. But I will say this. Remember last week when Dwayne got really lucky on the big one? May want to go look at his replay again, because he looks like he got lucky again.
He was right in the middle. The 69 Chevy spun in front of him. That was William Amaker, who was having a very good day. He was involved in the accident. The 87 machine as well collected. That was Christopher Hurlow. 15 machine with damage. That's Jeff Ward. It looks like Adam Benefield is involved. The 41 machine as well of Corbin Hemstreet is involved. And although Dwayne Vincent gets a piece of this one, that car probably should have been junked a lot more than it was. But the majority of the cars, Andy, that I see on pit road are guys coming in to get some body panels re-added.
Oh, yeah. Team's got the baseball bats, the hammers, everything's out right now trying to get those things knocked back into some sort of shape to get these guys back out. With a huge field like this of 41 cars, every point matters, and you don't want to be that guy that finished last. It's going to take a huge hit in the points. Especially for guys like the 90 of Eberhardt, who was involved in that right there, and that's going to give him, obviously, he's got to get back out there, get as many spots as he possibly can. So a lot of trouble for a lot of big names in this race here, and some guys that were having a good race got caught up into it too.
Yeah, Andy, the points implications with, after this race, with 8 races to go, are going to be pretty big, and obviously we're going to Iowa next week, which can have some major impact results as well. But guys that had a bad run last week, like Anthony DeBarro, who finished well back in the field there, this gives him a chance to climb back up in the points if he can get a good finish out of this. And Chad Cole, I think he got caught up in a wreck last week, if I'm not mistaken. But if he did, that's also another major player that can come right back in the points battle. And you got to think about it this way. This is what it is. It's like the old chase format, 10 races. So you have your 1 mulligan for each race, and you got 9 races to make a good race, and you got 1 mulligan, it seems like. So, and apparently 17 cars in the grass here. Jacob, I'll throw it to you on this one.
We're hearing there's problems for the driver of the number 17 of Nicholas Orth. He is down in the grass into turn number 1. We did mention him earlier on in this race because he was our runner-up finisher at Talladega, was having an okay run in 14th position. We always talk about the sim, Andy, throwing curveballs to these guys. Normally it's the form of connection problems. Hearing that the 17 may have lost power to his monitors, can't drive without seeing, so he's pulled off the racetrack, and it looks like he's going to take the virtual hook down to the pit lane to try to get that further assessed.
Yeah, it's about the equivalent of having your hood come up in front of you.
Yeah.
Driving down the freeway, you know. So, yeah, that's something you don't want. And he did a great job by just pulling down to the left and getting out of the way, and just so it doesn't affect anybody else. So that was a good job by him to get down and out of the way. Unfortunate though, he's got to take the tow, and he should be able to get it fixed and get back on there, but he's obviously going to be a couple laps down.
And we look at the things that we have learned through the halfway point in this race. The lights go off on top of the pace car, so let's take a look at our iRacing.com Midway Race Break, brought to you by iRacing.com, the leader in motorsport simulations and the official sim racing partner of NASCAR. As we get doubled up for the restart, let's run you through the top 20. Joseph LaPlaca going to lead us back to the green flag. Chad Cole will be second. Anthony DeBarro in third. Matt Lacrosse fourth, and fifth is Eric Arnold. Dwayne Vincent will be P6. Seventh is Nick Silver. William Hale in eighth. Ninth is Mike Montesi, Andy, and Mike Kelly is 10th.
Yeah, I'm running 11th right now is Nelson Rivera. David Comstock in that 14 is running 12th. 13th is Brian Terry. Tom Dryerling's 14th. 15th is Jared Como. 16th is Jimmy North. Tyler Herr is running 17th. 18th is Jonathan Cadell. Cisco Scaramuzza is 19th, and Scott Eckrich is 20th.
And from there, still 38 drivers on the lead lap in this race. The only retiree so far, Daniel E. Eberhardt on the pit lane, 2 laps down, may not be getting back out there. They could be putting a new engine in it, but at this point it looks like he's done. Nicholas Orth is as well on the pit lane. They're continuing to get that monitor situation assessed. What we learned is that 4 tires seems very important. We will see what that 79 of Joseph LaPlaca can do as we get set. There's plenty of race cars to give us another restart like the one that we just saw. So the pace car going to get down of the way. It'll be a restart with 44 laps to go at Michigan. LaPlaca on the inside of the racetrack. Chad Cole topside. Old tires for both of those drivers. Green flag flies, back underway we go, and not a good start for the bottom. Check it up the 9, check it up the 31. First car out of line to the bottom is DeBarro. He'll go 3 wide for the race lead as they head to turn number 1. He's down on the bottom.
For the lead, Anthony DeBarro in that flat black number 9 surges to the inside. He's going to have help. He's going to take the lead away from LaPlaca and the 8 of Chad Cole on the far outside. Bring the 21 of Matt Lacrosse with him as they head down the back straightaway. They already fan out again. Go 3 wide into turn number 3. How about Nick Silver from
the 31 car
to battling for third as they're 4 wide behind LaPlaca, starting to fall through.
Arnold had his nose chopped off by the 79 of LaPlaca. That lost a lot of speed for the David Duke, and he goes backwards in the middle of the racetrack. That Ford Mustang slides back at least outside the top 10 as he finds himself 3 wide again. Still pinched in the middle of the racetrack, and it's tight again. Look at the 0-2 of Mike Kelly. Topside looks like Kyle Busch on a restart. He'll get 3 spots in 1 and 2. Outside for the Crest Chevrolet down the back. That's one way to avoid the chaos, is to get around it. They will now single file out the top 10 after another crazy restart with DeBarro with a half a second gap up top.
Yeah, and Dwayne Vincent, meanwhile, has picked his way through now to the 4th position. But the run by Nick Silver in the 51 as he looks to the inside, LaPlaca defends. Battle is on for the 2nd position. And Evan, it's been a remarkable run up through the pack tonight for the 51 of Silver. That pink and yellow machine has been nothing short of brilliant this evening. He's up 29 and challenging for second. Run to the inside, LaPlaca tags the fence.
We talk about the tire conditions. After 10 to 15 laps, you lose them. Well, he came down pit road 2 times ago. He did not come down to the pit lane the last caution flag, so he was out there on old tires. Obviously not the grip, but he is still in the fence to turn 3, only doing 75 miles an hour. He couldn't get it off the wall. We saw the same thing with Jimmy North earlier, because if you crank the wheel to get off the fence, probably get a spin out, so he kept it all the way down the backstretch in the wall. That basically takes him out of any sort of competition for a decent finish tonight. That 51 of Nick Silver, though, to second from 32nd. He's passed 29 cars and gained 30 spots, and we'll take a second look at that incident with La Placa here. That battle, though, for second now does continue. It was a battle for third. Dwayne Vincent on the bumper. We did say he'd be here in the conversation at 40 laps to go. He's on the podium trying to get to P2. Loses a little bit of speed, though, through quarter number 4. The advantage still to Silver, who's now nearly a second off of Anthony DeBarro, who is checking out in the second half.
Yeah, DeBarro just flat out with those fresh tires. He was able to get around those guys on the restart, going 3 wide, and now he's just, like you said, checked out. Evan, a couple problems for the guys behind him. The 79, La Placa had some issues. That's what's given him a bigger gap also. So maybe Vincent and Silver can work together here. Maybe a little bit of drafting help can get them up there to challenge DeBarro. We'll see what the lap times say after this time around here. Battle for that 4th spot, though, right behind these guys. Matt Lacrosse, Chad Cole. They're going at it pretty hard right now. Cole looked to the inside off of turn 4. Didn't quite have the momentum. He's going to draft them all the way back into 1.
We go on board back in the pack, looking 22nd spot, the 78 of Stephanie Lesentine. That STEM Civic Chevrolet started 15th, has fallen to 22nd. Right now, that's not a fun place to be. It looks like Talladega last week, and it has around here since we went last under the green flag. And this is exactly what E.J. O'Rourke was talking about when we spoke with him, and that is back here in the pack. Nothing is guaranteed. To the inside on Lesentine goes to 2 of Rhett McBride. She dives out of the way. That's what it's like here outside the top 15. It's every man for himself, and they're 2 wide, 2 rows deep. The 54 of Yarbrough's in the mix. The 6 car is right there as well. That's Tom Dryerling. You got the 3 in the mix as well. Justin Michael as well. That 93 of E.J. O'Rourke. So all of that going on outside of the top 15. Battle inside the top 5, though, and it's that 26 of William Hill. Trying to get a top 5 spot. He's got to get around the Wolverines Chevrolet. That is the number 21 to Matt Lacrosse, top side to 3.
Yeah, Lacrosse is, I think, going to give way here. We also, Evan, had a change for second just a moment ago. Dwayne Vincent starting to march. The defending winner of this race just moved around the 51 of Nick Silver to take over the runner-up spot. The problem is he finds himself 1.1 seconds behind race leader Anthony DeBarro, who has really checked out. This is the biggest lead, Thomas, that we've seen by any driver tonight. And I've got to wonder, now that we finally have some green flag racing and everybody's starting to kind of single out into their own race, DeBarro seems to be in a little bit of a safe spot right now, way out in front of this field. I don't know that you can just run him down in the draft.
Well, I'd like to thank you for probably putting the commentator jinx on this because I'm going to have a caution. But
I was thinking the same thing. Don't call it too early.
But no. Yeah, DeBarro probably just wanted to stretch out the lead as far as he could. He's pretty good at saving his tires over about 20 to 25 laps with the amount of times I've raced with him. I think Dwayne's strength is more towards the very, very end of the run, so we'll see if we can get a green run here in about, another, I want to say 20, 25 laps, and we'll see what happens there. But you also have to factor in, I think they also have to make another pit stop. I don't think they're in the fuel window just yet. Oh,
caution.
Jacob, you did it.
The caution flag flies, lap number 55. It's problems down the back straightaway for the number 33 of Dale Rent. So caution will fly for the number 33 Chevy. In front of him is where all the problems start, and would you be shocked to hear that it started in turn number 2 with the car getting tight and getting into the fence, because that's exactly what happened to the 6 of Tom Dryerlead. He tagged, the fence came down, and really the innocent victims in that are the guys that actually go all the way around. They include the 41 of David, or actually the 41 behind them. That's Corbin Hemstreet, and as well the driver that we caught spinning, the 33 of Dale Rents, had nowhere to go. So Calamity Corner strikes again. This time it brings us to a caution flag inside of the final 35.
Yeah, it looks like Tom Dryerling actually had a little bit of help there. I'm not sure the car number on that one, Evan, but he got a little help there, went up into the fence, and like you said, once he hit that wall, we talked about before, sometimes a lot of these guys, they'll hit that wall and they end up coming almost springboarding back down through the field, and that's exactly what happened right there. And you get innocent victims, the 33, the 41 of Corbin Hemstreet. Obviously, not what Corbin wanted this evening with that special paint scheme he's running on that car. So tough break for him, but pit road's open and all the leaders are heading back down.
They come back
Yeah,
down. We had 2 cycles of caution flags where there was a little bit of strategy, and I think we learned that 2 tires and or no tires was not the place to go, because the last driver that stayed out that tried that was Joseph LaPlaca. That did not quite work. So down to the number 3 pit stall, your race leader, Anthony DeMaro, comes in for service.
Yeah, DeBar's in, and he makes a very clean entry into his pit stall this time. Right side's going up on that number 9 machine. 4 tires we expect, and this load of virtual Sunoco fuel will take them all the way to the end of this race, green flag conditions. But a host of guys actually beating DeBar out of pit lane. You got to wonder what the tire strategy is now. I saw the 51 actually of Nick Silver managed to beat him off. The 8 of Chad Cole Evan, about 4 cars getting around the 9 here during this cycle.
Not the best exit of the pit lane for him, but again, it turns to the strategy card in a way or a sense, but it was Dwayne Vincent that's able to win the battle off of the pit lane, so he done it. 57 laps to go 19th to 2nd. The Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet takes over the race lead at this juncture. There are still quite the high amount of drivers out there on the lead lap, especially all things considered, with 34 drivers remaining on the lead lap, Thomas. We talked about pit strategy earlier. We mentioned 35 to 42 laps if you're talking about the longest that you may go. But I don't really think that we're talking about fuel anymore. I think the general consensus is if this race had a trend of cautions, the best way to put it, again, this race averages 6.5 over the last 2 years, then tires would be the primary concern. At this point, we're good on fuel to the end of this race, but I could imagine, based on what we've seen so far, at least 1 or 2 more times, somebody's going to use up a set of Goodyears.
Yeah, and it's going to come down, I think you're going to probably be right on that. There might be 3 cautions the way it's going now, but it's all, at that point, if it comes down to cautions, it's going to come down to who takes strategy over, common sense. And common sense to me is 4 tires, and a gamble or slash strategy will be 2 tires or no tires staying out. Let's say that, it depends also when the last caution comes out. If a caution comes out with 15 to go, you're going to want to take 4 tires. You don't want to be a sitting duck. I've made that mistake here. It's not a fun feeling to have. But if a caution comes out with 7 to go, whatever bed you've made in, you're going to sit in it and you're going to have to deal with what you got. So tires are going to be important throughout the rest of the race. We don't have to worry about fuel anymore. Now the question becomes are we going to have 30 laps to the end of green, or are we going to get more cautions, and what the strategies are going to play out?
I was skeptical about what this 13 to Dwayne Vincent would look like after he, quote-unquote, had gotten through that wreck at a turn 2, Andy, and we talked about the close call as well. Thomas brought up at Talladega. He did get hit, though, both in the back, and he also made contact to the front end after he got into Amaker. Michigan is a very aerodynamically sensitive racetrack. We've seen the draft to be a big part of this. The 13 takes over the race lead under the caution flag. That's fair enough to say, but he does have a damaged back end, rather. The front end, though, looks pretty good, so out there in clean air, I'm going to be curious to see what he can do, because in third, he was doing all right with the damage. He was in the wake of the cars in front of him. I'm curious to see, though, what that 13 is going to be able to do when he's taking all the air to his nose.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see, like you said, working back there in third, he had a little bit of drafting help, so we'll see what kind of speed he can do up here in the front. The front, like you said, the front of his car, it doesn't look too bad, but even a little bit here at Michigan can make a huge difference. As far as the rear, as long as that spoiler, the height of it, is at a pretty good height, then he should be all right. Obviously, it's bent in around the middle there. It looks like he backed into a telephone pole. But other than that, I think he might be all right on that aspect. We obviously he still has a lot of horsepower, a lot of speed in that car to be running in the top 3. So we'll see what happens when this thing gets going, if he's able to stay in front of people or if he can only draft with them.
We will see how this one shapes out. It'll bring us to 31 laps to go at the drop of the green flag. That'll leave us just shy of the 2/3 mark in this race. And again, there's still plenty of drivers out there. 34 total on the lead lap. The drivers that are on for the lead lap, the 41 Corbett Him Street. He is 35th and 2 laps down. The Boomtown Sim 41, heavily damaged, getting serviced. Jason Swan, the 18 car on pit road, 3 laps down in 36, getting damaged. It looks like J. Randall Watkins is pulled behind the wall. So has Nicholas Orth. So has Daniel E. Eberhardt, 37th, 38th, and 39th. But only 5 drivers have had to take it off the racetrack. Everybody else still out there for this one. We'll ride on board the Sim Rig of the 11 of Jonathan Cadell. well, Jacob. He'll be right in the fun part of it outside the top 10 in 11th. Dwayne Vincent, though, the first car out of 4.
Yeah, Vincent's going to lead the field back to the American Ethanol green flag. It flies, and we are underway with the 13 getting a fantastic restart. A jump of almost 5 car lengths over the rest of the field. He defends. The draft begins to form up, but Vincent, a man on a mission and a man out alone in front of this field. DeBarro slips to the bottom. Battle for 4th off turn 2.
Battle continues down the back straight with the 51 machine. Nick Silver, small run on the 8 to Chad Cole. He can't do anything with it, though, and contact the 0-2 on the left side. That was Mike Kelly. That was the Crash Chevy that made a great move on the outside of the racetrack on the last restart. He was trying the inside in 3 and 4. Good enough to hold even for P3 off the corner. Vincent will lead across the start-finish line, tailed by Chad Cole, and then that battle for 3rd. 51 topside, 0-2 on the bottom, and a 9 sits just behind him in Anthony DeBarro. He wants to get something going as well, but the majority, actually, of the drivers inside the top 5 right now didn't come from there. We'll go 3 wide for 3rd, and it's the driver to the bottom of the racetrack in that number 9 of DeBarro, who started in 3rd and wants to get back up to where he started. But if you're talking about Silver, Kelly, or Vincent, those 3 drivers have passed over 15 cars apiece to get here.
Yeah, they have. I mean, are we surprised at this, though, Evan? Really? Dwayne Vincent, this is his modus operandi. This is what he does every single time it seems we find him in an RSR race. Never assuming early, never showing all his cards, and leading when it matters. He is holding off a very vicious lead in draft right now, though, and man on the move trying to get to him is Anthony DeBarro. He's going for 3rd to the bottom of the racetrack down the back straightaway, trying to roll that momentum from the top to the bottom. DeBarro surging as they enter turn 3.
And the inside, the shorter way around, he throws it in there, slides up in front of the 51. He gets that spot. Top 5, single file at a turn number 4. Michigan has been predominantly Dwayne Vincent's place to be. Winner in this race in 2014, 2015, and the year prior. Did not make it across the start-finish line at the end after being involved in an accident, but led 18 laps as well in the 2013, 2014 installment of this race. So he knows how to get the job done. Maybe a little bit lax in that 15-minute open qualifier, but he has taken to life, and the car is looking pretty good up front in the clean air. He is trailed by, though, Chad Cole, the 8 machine, right on the bumper. So is DeBarro. They're not letting him run away with this at all, Andy, but at least with that, the top 9 have single filed out. Final is actually for P9, the 24 to Jared Como outside of the racetrack. He and Jonathan Cadell are duking it out across the start-finish line.
Yeah, they are side by side. They're side by side just in front of these guys, too, heading back into turn number 1. Cadell's got that preferred line as it looks like we get a little slip up right in front of him, the 45 machine of Mike Montesi getting into the corner there. He's going to lose that spot to the 26 of William Hale. Cadell now all over his back bumpers. They were able to sort it out. The 7 now of Nelson Rivera. He was able to get by Jared Como off of turn number 2 also. So a bunch of these guys starting to try to mix it up, trying to get in that top 10. Just behind these guys, a couple other guys. A rookie to the series, Brian Terry. Haven't talked much about him at all. Last race or this race, here he is right now trying to get himself in the top 10, and just behind him, it's that 87 of Christopher Herlo, who was leading this thing early on, and now he's just now finally getting a chance to get back up and maybe get into the top 10 before this thing's over.
Yeah, he's working, Andy, on climbing his way back through. That car really wasn't damaged when he got a small piece of the big one earlier tonight, clawing his way back up, set 13th when they crossed the line last time by. Moving forward, though, battle for 2nd in turn 3. Maybe going to be a battle for the lead here in a minute. Anthony DeBarro chucks it to the bottom, gets around Chad Cole, tucks right in behind Dwayne Vincent, and now the Boomtown Sim number 9 Chevrolet going after the lead here with 25 laps to go at Michigan International Speedway. DeBarro wants the point. He goes topside. Vincent about a half groove lower. They battle for the lead. They switch positions off turn 2.
Good car up to 2nd, but he's not satisfied. He'll stick it to the inside. It'll be a battle for the race lead at lap number 66. To the inside goes Adana DeBarro. Dwayne Vincent wide arc in. He'll duck it to the bottom. Maybe look for a crossover, but he can't get back to the gas in time. And an easy move. He made it look like it, at least, for the 9 of Anthony DeBarro, who takes over the race lead. This time by at 24 laps to go. The 9 Chevrolet is out in front of the field. So Dwayne going to fall back to second. The 8 of Chad Cole still third. The top 3 not spreading out at all. In fact, that battle is growing. 5th where Nick Silver wants to join the party as well. He's in the fray, and that Ford Mustang coming in as a 4th driver within 0.3 of a second of the guy in front.
Yeah, the top 4 now they've really separated themselves from Mike Kelly on the racetrack right now. It looks like Kelly's struggling a little bit of a tight condition now. He's falling into the clutches of Matt Lacrosse. A couple guys just behind them, though. Pretty big battle still shaping up with all these guys. Cadell right in the middle of it with the 45, and you got Jared Como and Christopher Herlo still battling out. Montesi, though, on that high side seems to be losing positions every lap here as we continue on off of turn number 2. But all right around this top 10 right now. These guys are putting on a good battle to finish up there in the top 10.
And being back there as well, we haven't talked about Mike Montesi a lot tonight, and now that we've mentioned his names a couple of times, he's got a little bit of right rear damage from fighting with a lot of guys. So far tonight, another name you mentioned, Brian Terry, even Tyler Herr, some guys just outside the top 10 through about 15th or 20th position have been quiet, and we haven't said their name a whole lot tonight, Thomas, though as a driver, I feel like tonight that's a pretty good thing, because we've been talking about a lot of guys getting into the fence so far, a lot of guys just flying under the radar. That's a good thing to run your own race and not get caught up in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and a lot of those guys that you were talking about, they're new to the series, they're new to the entire league, so they're just trying to make a name for themselves, trying to learn and figure out which drivers drive aggressive, which ones drive a little bit more conservatively, what their styles are, and trying to just learn every little bit. And every rookie, every newcomer, or somebody that hasn't been around a while, they go through it. You see new faces, they want to kind of just survive and just inch their way forward in points and everything like that. Just get good finishes, build up the experience, and once they have that experience, they can start taking it towards the veterans like Dwayne Vincent, like Chad Cole, like Anthony DeBarro. They want to get to that point. They want to get to that level of ability at some point, but you have to start off somewhere. And right now, those guys are having good runs. Don't need to go for anything crazy. Just survive and make sure you're good to go for the rest of the race, and you got 8 more races to learn from it too.
The battle continues inside of the top 3. That's a couple of guys relatively close, but for the second time tonight, pulling away, and the first driver really to break away at all while leading is Anthony DeBarro. Although the gap is just 0.2 of a second, he is out in front by about 4 car lengths in comparison to Dwayne Vincent, who himself is more concerned, I would imagine, with Chad Cole because the 8 Valvoline Chevy is all over his bumper. First side-by-side fight, though, is the 7 car of Nelson Rivera, topside on the 26 of William Hale. Hale was 7th 2 laps ago. He now falls to P9 after he loses 2 spots. Jonathan Cadell makes the move on the outside. So does the 7 of Nelson Rivera. Here in contact behind these guys, and the 45, Andy, may be involved.
Yeah, it looked like Christopher Herlo in the 87 got into turn number 3 a little hot, and I don't think he expected Montesi to come down like he did. And made a little contact, though, but Montesi made a great job saving that thing right now. But that just put these guys swarmed now with a whole bunch of cars.
They'll contact the 55. He got tagged by the 45. Hard into the outside wall goes Tyler Herr. He will scrape up against those 3M adverts all the way down the back straightaway. No caution, we stay green, and I will reiterate my point that we did not talk a lot about Mike Montesi. We did not talk about a lot Tyler Herr, and once we mentioned that those guys were being quiet, they find some trouble, so maybe it's not a good thing to be talked about.
It's the broadcaster's curse, Evan. Haven't you learned we've been doing this all season long?
You've been credited with a caution tonight, so I think we're all aware.
I'm not even going to go there. Out front, though, here's one thing I can talk about and maybe not get in trouble, Evan, because we almost had a change for the lead a lap ago. Dwayne Vincent and Chad Cole basically tandemed up. Vincent dropped back to the front bumper of the Valvoline machine, and they got a shove. Vincent got up right alongside of Anthony DeBarro at lap 72. Could not make the pass. DeBarro has held the lead. We are just 17 laps to go. Top 4 running lockstep, 1 second ahead of Mike Kelly in 5th. How about one of our on-rig cameras, though, Evan, for Jonathan Cadell, the 11 machine? He's run a very solid race tonight. Marched his way from 18th to 6th in that GTR Toyota, doing a fantastic job.
And he may not be done yet because he wants to get up to Mike Kelly. Problem is that's a pretty big gap between P5 and a P6. Kelly kind of in no man's land. The O2 well behind the battle for the race lead. That's still DeBarro, Vincent, Cole, and Silver. And he's got a little bit of gap back to Cadell, who's trying to hold off Nelson Rivera in 7th. But it's a good point to bring up, Thomas. We relate the speeds at a track like Michigan or a Fontana to a Talladega or Daytona, but they're not the same as a plate track. What good does pushing somebody do?
Sorry. Yeah, Mike went off there. Sorry about that. But pushing down at a track like Michigan Auto Club, yeah, it's not like Talladega, but the thing is, you got those straightaways that are so long. I don't know if they're almost as long as Talladega or Daytona, but they're long enough to where if you can get that push and you get that run off the corner with some help behind you, you can clear the guy.
Oh, the race leader's in the fence! DeBarro, he got sideways at a turn number 4 just as Dwayne Vincent started to close the gap, and that Boomtown Sim Chevy pounding the fence. Caution flag will fly behind Tim. I believe a couple of guys trying to get out of the way from that accident. They'll pile him in behind. Jared Como is involved in this accident. He was the first driver to go around. Not relating to that contact up front. He just spun it out on his own, and quite a big accident behind that brings out the yellow. But the huge talking point in that is that Anthony DeBarro just knocked down the turn 4 fence. A huge hit for at-time race leader.
Yeah, and I'm looking at this again here, Evan. That was a very solid hit right in the right side. I think he got it more with the right rear of the car than he did the right front, and he just lost it. I mean, that's a very uncharacteristic mistake, Thomas, from the driver of the number 9, whether, a loss of rhythm, a loss of focus, but he was all by himself. Vincent wasn't close enough to touch him, and a very, very, very bizarre incident over there in 3 and 4.
Yeah, that is a very, very rare incident for a guy like Anthony DeBarro, who has a very good control of his car, very talented racer. And I think the only thing that I can explain is that the only thing I can think of is that Dwayne Vincent was just pressuring him, and that pressure may have even forced him into a mistake there, but a very rare mistake from somebody of that caliber. So that's his second mulligan, so he's going to have to fight his way up the rest of the year now.
And Vincent, I mean, he was coming. I was going to talk about the 13 machine of Vincent, who nearly planted it into the fence, Andy. That last lap at a turn 2, he got so close. So we knew the 13 was digging. The guys claim that they don't look in the mirror, but, I mean, you had to think that Nani DeBarro was feeling the pressure. That's why he tried to give it a little bit more as the leaders come down.
Yeah, this track can be tricky, like you think your car is good, you think, oh wow, I had a good entry to the corner, so you get on the throttle a little bit sooner than the lap before, and then it just gets tight and it pushes, and I think that could have possibly been part of it also. So I think the 9 at DeBarro are very fortunate and probably very pleased that the caution came out when it did. His crew can maybe beat out some of that right side damage, and obviously the 4 tires will help him, but he didn't lose too much ground there to these guys. He went into the pits in that 4th spot there, so we'll see where he comes out on this after the pit stop here. As it looks like the 8
Cole got him.
Cole is going to beat them all out. Good stop by him and his crew.
It didn't take a 2-tire call. It is 4 tires, but Chad Cole going to win the race off of the pit lane. It'll be the Valvoline Chevrolet in front when we go back green. This caution flag going to bridge us through to about 10 laps to go. So with that, we'll take one more opportunity during racing conditions, step away and take a quick break. We go LSRTV nonstop, so you don't miss a moment of the action. Looking at Chad Cole in front in the Michigan 180.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
We're back live at the virtual Michigan International Speedway as we close in on what could be the final restart on the night, and it is the 8 of Chad Cole who will lead us to the 10-lap-to-go restart. You're watching LSRTV's coverage of the Real Sim Racing Icebreaker Winter Series on LSRTV and iRacing Live. Evan Pasoko, Jacob Seelman, Andy Kessler, and Thomas George topside with you. Lights off on the pace car, 30 drivers on the lead lap, and I guess, Jacob, do we really think this is going to be the final restart based on what we've seen tonight? Everybody's on 4 tires.
You know, that's a tough question, honestly, Evan, and I'd like to say yes, but there's a part of me that thinks after what we've seen, we may be just beginning here, especially knowing Anthony DeBarro's car a little bit wounded back there in 7th. I'm keeping my eye actually on the 51 of Nick Silver here. He's been close in RSR competition, has never gone to victory lane in one of these broadcast series. He's looking for his first win, started 32nd tonight in that Ford Fusion, has marched his way all the way up inside the podium, that Country Time Lemonade entry, but he's got to take down 2 veterans to do it. Chad Cole, the Valvoline Machine, Dwayne Vincent, the always potent number 13 on the top side, ready to go. Like you said, Evan, going to be 10 laps to glory, and a bunch of guys back in contention. Jonathan Cadell can do it as the American Childhood Cancer Organization pace car heads for pit road. American Ethanol green flag flies. 10 laps, 15 miles to glory. Cole gets the jump, and like I said, keep an eye on Silver. He goes to 2nd. The leaders go to 1.
Dwayne Vincent wants to get back up to that top spot that on of Anthony DeBarro has probably been the fastest car all night long up front. However, Anthony's back in traffic. He is 3 wide down the back straightaway. Top side for the 78 of Stephanie Lessentine. Inside for the 85 of Cisco Scaramuza. That fight for P7 on the racetrack. And it looks like Lessentine going to win it. The 85 will take 8th. And DeBarro now forcing it to the apron. He's trying to get aggressive, but it won't be enough out of 4. All eyes set on Chad Cole, Andy. We had to predict that this race would have this many cautions. It's almost like the statistics rang true. We said average cautions, 6.5. We're working caution 6 right now. If we get one more, it'll be yellow flag number 7. Chad Cole has played his cards right. He's got a 2-car length advantage, side by side for 3rd between Kelly and Vincent. Caution going to fly behind these guys. The 54 of Austin J. Yarbrough, the Jack Daniels Chevy, spins to a stop at a turn 2. He got into it with the 3 of Justin Michael, and the 70 car was there as well of Scott Eckrich. So there's yellow flag 7. It'll be the final one on the day.
Yeah, 2 guys just meeting up at the same real estate there in turns 1 and 2, and the rookie, the 54 of Yarborough, just not his night, I guess. He had some trouble last week, too. He was strong early in this race, running up in the top 5, so it was good to see him. Definitely got some speed under that machine, but as the replay goes up on your screen now, just fighting for the same real estate right there with the 3 of Justin Michael, and they just ran out of room, made some contact, and being the guy on the outside, you tend to be the one that comes out on the wrong side.
So this caution will bridge us through the 5 to go mark, and with that, the next caution flag would end this race, and we would not get an opportunity to restart. So for Chad Cole, I mean, who hasn't been far off, but he's been a top 5, top 10 car for a lot of the night, kind of stealing this one from what looked like it should have been either the 9 of Anthony DeBarro's or the 13 of Dwayne Vincent's race. DeBarro was getting absolutely no help at all. Stephanie Lesentine and Francisco Scaramuza, 7th and 8th. Those two guys, Jacob, teammates on Aegis Motorsports, absolutely teamed up on that 9. They showed no mercy. They were thinking about pit road, but they stay out. So that's the first time so far all night long that everybody inside of the top 20, basically all your lead lap cars till you get to P25, Kevin Linden is in for service. First time tonight that track position outweighs tires.
Yeah, and keep in mind that if Chad Cole can hold on to win this race, it would be his first Real Sim Racing victory since, I believe, early March of 2014. It has been almost 2 years since Chad Cole has been able to call a trophy his in one of these broadcast races, trying to make it happen tonight. But the guy on the outside of him is going to be pretty hungry here. Nick Silver, that Country Time Lemonade, reminiscent of the old Phoenix Racing days in that number 51 machine. He's never won one of these races. He'd like to put his name on the RSR winners list tonight. And from 32nd to 2nd, and similar, the Pepsi machine, Mike Kelly, from 29th to 3rd. These guys have put on an incredible charge tonight. And if either one of them can manage to punch their way through and win this race, it'd be an impressive story, just as Chad Cole would be.
The last time the driver of that number 8 Valvoline Chevrolet was at Michigan in an Icebreaker Winter Series event, he came runner-up in 2013, came home in 2nd to Brian Backlund, who went home to win the race. Chad Cole went on to win 5 races on that season, got the job done. He's looking to maybe use this race, as he did back in 2013, 2014, to get maybe the momentum rolling as he looks to walk away with another RSR championship. We'll see what the lights do this time by. It'll be a big part of what happens on these restarts. The lights will stay on. Thomas, that's telling me about a 4-lap to go restart here. Well enough time for these guys to wreck before they make it to the white flag, but nothing says we can't get to that point. What do you need to do if you're Chad Cole, and then what do you need to do if you're everybody else?
Yep, sorry, Mike shot off again. If you're in Chad Cole's position, go like hell. That's all I can really say. If you're in Nick Silver's position, you got to get the restart of your lifetime. If you're the O2 car in 3rd there, same thing. You got to get the right restart. Same thing for Dwayne. And we see Dwayne there in 4th. Don't count him out. If he gets the right restart there on the outside, he can make it 3 wide, maybe make a run on there. But I honestly couldn't tell you. And don't count out that number 11 and 5th either. You know, there's still enough time for something crazy to happen. We've seen it happen multiple times tonight.
Cadell has shown speed getting from 18th to 5th. In fact, everybody inside of the top 8 have gone forwards this race. The first driver that's gone backwards, ironically enough, is Anthony DeBarro, who is 9th, who started 3rd. Everybody else has gained a lot throughout this race. A guy like a Nick Silver, who has passed 30 drivers. A guy like a Mike Kelly, who has gone around 26 of them tonight. There's a lot of these guys that have done a lot. They're trying to win this race. If we get 1 lap of green flag racing, maybe the top 3 have a shot. If we get 2 laps, you can open up that to P5 and to P6. The longer we go green, Andy, the more opportunities that people further on back can get an opportunity to win this race. However, the more laps we go green, it gives them more opportunities to make a move that might be doubtable. We'll see, though. Lights on top of the pace car are out. The stage is set. It'll be 4 laps and 8 miles.
Yeah, and you got to look at all these guys really having an opportunity, obviously. How close they're going to be running. One little slip up by any of these guys up front could cause a major catastrophe, and then you could see somebody sneak out of it. You could see Anthony DeBarro or Stephanie Lesentine come out, with or E.J. O'Rourke, who's sitting right there in 10th right now. So anything can happen. Obviously, it's almost like a super speedway restart here, except you're going to see some of these guys three, maybe 4 wide here coming off of turn number 2, really looking to push the issue and try to get as many spots as they possibly can in these last 4 laps.
There's a total of 30 drivers on the lead lap. The top 10 will look as follows. Row number 1 to P1 will be Chad Cole. Nick Silver will be in second. Back on row 2 and third is Mike Kelly. In fourth, Dwayne Vincent. Fifth is Jonathan Cadell alongside at P6 Nelson Rivera. They make up row number 3. Row 4 on the bottom, Stephanie Lesentine in 7th. Topside in 8th, Cisco Scaramuza. Anthony DeBarro on the inside of row 5 and 9th. And outside in 10th, the 93 of E.J. O'Rourke. For the final time, the pace car going to dive down and away and get set to let the field into the hands of Chad Cole. The number 8 Valvoline Chevrolet Camaro from 9th on the grid has an opportunity to go back into RSR victory lane. He's got to do it now. There's going to be 4 laps to go at Michigan. Contact behind! A big accident coming to the restart. Chad Cole going to get the job done just like that. We go back green. It's chaos behind them. Chad Cole going to win it at Michigan as they wreck behind on the green flag.
That was chaos coming to the line, and that was all Chad Cole wanted to see, was a lot of smoke and a lot of cars going sideways. It's going to be about 3 laps and about 5 long minutes before he can officially celebrate and hoist the trophy, but it's going to be that long-awaited 67th career RSR victory for the driver of the number 8, that famed number 8 that has won more times than any other car in the history of this series.
And that a case, Thomas, as a driver, you said that Chad Cole up front, he's got to run like hell. I think that's what everybody else was doing too. I'm looking at Chad Cole. Pace speed is 70 miles an hour. They're doing 70 miles an hour, so you can't say he's slowed down, but that leader has so much time to choose when he wants to go from when that American Childhood Cancer Association pace car goes down to the time the green flag actually drops outside of the American Ethanol Go Zone, that the guys behind him just tried to guesstimate that it looks like the 7-8 of Stephanie Lesentine got pushed into the back of the 11 of Cadell by the 9 of DeBarro. We knew DeBarro had a fast car. He wanted to get going, and then the top side, the same thing happened. Cisco Scaramuza got turned by O'Rourke, and that was a big wreck behind him. That's what happens when you dangle a checkered flag in front of over 30 drivers, I guess.
Yeah, and I honestly was hoping that would go green because that looked like it had a great finish to it, but that's just racers trying to get everything they can, and I don't know for sure if the 9... it looked like the 9 pushed the 78 into the 11 there, but just depends on who checked up, who didn't. Looks like some people were trying to guess it on a little bit further back, and I think they're all just trying to get every position they could, and it's a shame for some drivers like the 51, the 13, and not get a chance to win it, but I can tell you right now, Chad Cole's loving every second minute of it, and he's going back to victory lane for the first time in almost 2 years.
He's for sure not going to object to thinning the checkered flag, and I know when we talk to him, he'll say that he would have liked to race it out for it, but I mean, on the pit lane, not making a mistake, Andy. We talked about the scenario where Chad Cole found himself in. Wasn't the leader on pit road when they came in for the final swig of service. He won the race off of the pit lane by quite a margin. It wasn't because he took 2 tires. It's because he stuck to his game. He took 4 tires. He entered his stall clean. He got off clean, and I guess I said that every single lap we get across the start-finish line adds more contenders to it. Nobody else even had a shot at him with him leading to the start-finish line. So this race win, the pass for the win, comes on pit road.
Yeah, it's an interesting place to get it, but hey, you know what? When you're in that top spot, you don't care how it happens. And obviously, like you said, racing to the green or under green would have been good. But at the same time, when you've been waiting as long as you have for Chad Cole to get back to victory lane, you'll take him as you get him. It's almost like winning a range shortened race, and when you go back and look at the record book, you don't see that it, ended under caution. You just see the race winner and your name next to it. So for Chad Cole, it's a pretty cool deal for him, and he'll have 2 more laps to soak it all in here before he gets to burn them down.
And he does have to complete those 2 laps under the caution flag as well. So he's got 2 laps from home, popsicle sticks in the air. We'll get the white flag alongside the yellow the next time around. I mentioned that the last time Chad Cole was at Michigan, he got a second-place result, went on to win 5 races on that season with a P11 last week at Talladega, a race that kind of defined attrition for this driver after getting into at least 2 accidents, ranking up 10 incident points. pretty good night, all things considered, to get through Talladega to win this race at Michigan. And a Chad Cole that returned to Real Sim Racing, Jacob, in 2015. He is now in a good spot through 2 races to be in a position to fight for another RSR title.
Yeah, he is. And, that's big. Chad Cole, the only 2-time champion of this series, won the first 2 championships in this Icebreaker Winter Series until David Comstock broke that streak last season. And, just an incredible job he did tonight. He's a wily veteran, Evan, and we talk about so many of Chad's RSR wins being on sheer speed, but just as many were on strategy. So it's, it's just like him. He's kind of like Dwayne in the fact that you don't expect him to be up at the front maybe during the first half, but the second half, look out because he's coming to the front. He did that tonight. It's going to pay dividends with a win.
Talladega was considered the wild card. The big thing into this season was that 2 of the 10 races were coming at plate tracks. Well, for the drivers that thought they had survived the first of those 2 wild card races, did not fare well. So as Chad Cole takes the white flag, we look for Daniel E. Eberhardt, last week's winner. He's behind the wall. He'll get a 38th place result tonight. When you look for Nicholas Orth, who came home second 1 week ago at Talladega, he is in 32nd position, and that story continues on true for a guy like Tyler Herr. 18th position, not that bad for the driver that was on the podium, but Eric Arnold was a top 5 car last week. He had his share of problems on the night as well. So although you think you get through Talladega and you're good, Michigan's a very wide racetrack. All of these races are unpredictable. We go to Iowa next week. You're throwing these guys out there on what's basically a short track. You can't look at any of these races as being easy, Thomas, and the thing that I like that you said earlier is it's a 10-race championship, which is longer than what we saw in 2014, 2015, the season back to its regular length of 10 races as opposed to 8. It's basically the chase. A lot of guys that have had problems last week or the guys that had problems this week are digging themselves a hole that may be impossible to get out of.
Yeah, for guys like Chad Cole and Dwayne Vincent who have come through the first 2 weeks basically unscathed. I mean, Chad got, like you said, Chad got the 11th place finish last week, and now he's got the win tonight. Dwayne, another solid run. He had 6th place last week, and he's going to finish top 5 tonight. So those 2 are gonna be very far ahead of a lot of these guys, like a Jeff Ward, like an Anthony DeBarro, Chris Hurlow. It's just going to be one of those things where those top 2 now, next week, they might be a little bit more conservative at the short track. They don't necessarily have to go and have an amazing run. But these other guys, you're going to see them try and get everything they can. They're going to be a little bit more aggressive now that they are very far in the hole. And honestly, I don't know if they can dig themselves out of it. They need a lot of help on this one, but it's going to be fun watching it happen.
And he safely makes it across the start-finish line. So with the checker and the yellow, Chad Cole back to a Real Sim Racing victory lane tonight. The Valvoline Chevrolet Camaro comes across first and gets his win in the Icebreaker Series. And now, 2 good races, 2 good set of points. Chad Cole is back in his normal stride in RSR competition in a position to fight for a championship. We'll get post-race reactions with your winner, as well as how about Mike Kelly and Nick Silver from 29th and 32nd on the grid. They come home 2nd and 3rd respectively, and we'll hopefully catch up with them as well in just a few. The LSRTV post-race show from the virtual Michigan International Speedway on the other side of this break. You're watching LSRTV's coverage of the Real Sim Racing Icebreaker Winter Series on LSRTV and iRacing Live.
Trucking has always been a part of me. It started years ago when my dad and granddad were hauling vegetables to market in Liverpool. The family immigrated to Canada in the late 60s and settled near Alliston, Ontario. I bought my first truck in 1982 and Mercer Trucking was born. Today, Mercer Trucking has over 50 trucks in terminals in Toronto and Los Angeles. Our storage facilities at both terminals can handle any size of distribution needs throughout North America. We service the continental U.S., including Hawaii and Alaska. We run over 120,000 miles per month and some of the best equipment on the road today. We specialize in less than truckload shipments, show freight, we do rush team service deliveries, and haul your refrigerated or heated product. Our regular team service from Canada to California is second to none, and our staff and drivers are among the best in the business. I'm proud of our people and what they can achieve. Trucking is in my blood, it's my livelihood, and it's what I do best.
While lions are notorious for their voracious appetites, they spend a great deal of time feeding other creatures. In fact, lions will take great care to ensure there's plenty to go around. As you can see, they keep giving with utter ferocity. Bravo, lions, and bon appetit. Do good, be a lion.
Cars are lined up on the grid. The RSR.com World Championship Grand Prix Series. We are underway. They all come down into turn one for the first time.
We welcome you back live to the virtual Michigan International Speedway post-race for round 2 of 10 on the 2015-2016 Real Race at Icebreaker Winter Series campaign. Chad Cole, your winner in the Michigan 180, as we bring you into the LSRTV post-race show on iRacing Live. Going to pass the microphone down with Andy Kessler with our third place finisher tonight, driver of the number 13 machine, Dwayne Vincent, in fourth.
I am down here on pit lane with Cup Champ Dwayne Vincent here. Dwayne, solid run tonight. Come home in the top 4. You led some laps there late in the race. Looked like you had a pretty decent car, even though you had some damage to that rear end and a little bit to the nose there. Walk us through this one. Kind of a different race. We had some green flag laps, but we also had some cautions to mix it up there for you.
Yeah, it took a lot of patience tonight, man. It was really hard to pass. Felt like a plate track, but bad pit stop. Chad beat me out of the pits, and then just guys getting really good jumps on the restarts there late in the race just kind of cost me a spot or two. But I'd have loved to have raced Chad for the win. It's been a long time, man. Him and I used to really go at it, but glad to see him win.
Yeah, it had been a couple of years since he's been to victory lane, so it's pretty cool to see that done right here. But listen, with this run here, the 4th place finish here, that's going to move you up in the standings there so far. Obviously only 2 races into it, but there's only 8 left to go, so a pretty short series. You're sitting 4 points back now in that 3rd spot. You got to be pretty happy with the overall from the run tonight in where you're sitting now.
Yeah, we're gonna just try to keep at it. You know, hopefully get some top 5s and maybe get a win out of it every now and then. So yeah, it's a fun little series. Wish these cars had a little more horsepower to it, but it's going to be fun. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, when you're so used to running that Cup car week in and week out over the course of the regular season, now you come in here with this car. I'm sure it is a little bit different for you. A couple big tracks we had. We had Talladega, and then now we sit here at Michigan. Well, next week we go to something totally different in Iowa. Size up your chances at that place.
Ooh, I didn't know that. Yeah, I don't know. Hopefully stay out of trouble. That's what it's going to take there.
Well, we know that track can be pretty fun and pretty racy in these cars, so I'm sure we'll see your number up towards the front like we always do as these things get longer into the run into the race. So, well, fourth place here tonight. Congratulations again. Shout outs, sponsors. Who do you want to thank for getting you here?
My buddy Adam at Benefield, mom and dad watching at home, all the guys at RSR and all you guys at LSRTV. We appreciate it, man.
Well, there you have it. Our champion, spoken like a champion here, finishing fourth here tonight. Moving up to third in the points. But I think Evan has caught up with our third place finisher. Another solid run for him one.
It was another good run tonight for Nick Silver after he had a very good race last week at Talladega. Led 13 laps. Unfortunately, ends up with a 21st place result, Nick. So it was looking good, and you improve on that tonight. You're going to get a third place finish tonight at Michigan. That'll put you 8th in the standings after 2 races. So although it's still young, a pretty good recovery from Talladega. Talk us through this race because you had the arms working, 32nd to 3rd.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just basically stay out of trouble the whole race, and was trying to save tires for the green flag run that didn't come till the end. And then it seemed to be going pretty well for me as far as the long run goes, but of course we got a caution.
The caution flags always keep things interesting. We talked about fuel strategy here early tonight. That was very quickly thrown out the window. That last caution flag, everybody took 4 tires. I guess the last caution that people came down to get serviced. We saw guys take 2 earlier, and I'm sure that based on that result, that wasn't really an option for you there. But you were close for that final restart. Do you think that 51 might have had anything based on equal tires if we did get a chance to go green for those final 4 laps?
Yeah, I was hoping so. I think at the very least I could have held off for a second, but fortunately I kind of blew it on the restart, and we'll never know.
You get a podium finish here tonight, and again, for leading laps at Talladega, but not getting the results that you would have liked at this one. Kind of redemption here tonight. I still know that, although being P8 in the points, you're 15 points back, and you would like to be a lot closer than that, but a pretty good statement by you guys saying that you're not going to give up by getting this run here tonight.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like for some reason my driving style fits these Xfinity cars a little bit better. So, hopefully we can get some solid races in, and I think I have something for them.
The next race is going to be much different than Talladega or Michigan. We go to Iowa, a short track on the series. It's a bull ring is a pretty good word to describe it, I would imagine. Do you have much experience there in these B cars? And if so, and even if not, what do you look forward to in that race? A race that could end up kind of like tonight, and that would be a battle to survive.
Yeah, Iowa is a little bit of a mixed bag for me. Don't really have too much experience there with these cars, mostly trucks, but it seems to always be about track position. So I don't know how it's going to work out, but I'm going to try to qualify better than I ever have, and hopefully stay up front.
Well, I'm sure it kept you on your toes tonight. 32nd to 3rd, you passed 29 drivers for a podium finish tonight. Nick, sponsors and shout-out who allows you to do what you do.
I got to thank you guys for putting this on, RSR as well. My teammate Sean Casto for spotting for me tonight and helping me out. And got to give a shout-out to my folks that are watching every week.
All right, Nick, thanks for sticking around and chatting with us again. Congratulations to you on the finish, and we wish you the best of luck. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
So that is third place finisher driver of the number 51, Nick Silver. Andy Kessler back down with the driver of the O2 machine. Mike Kelly now coming home in second tonight. You're with him. He as well started in the back, but had a good run to be on the podium.
Yeah, he did. I finally caught up with him, driver of the Crest Chevy Camaro. And Mike Kelly, wow, what a run. You had a fast car here, all the way from 29th up to this second spot. Walk us through that one for you.
Well, my main problem is I don't qualify very well, and I'm also new with the group. It looks like a pretty solid group, so I was just trying to get my feet wet tonight and try to get a good finish. I would have been happy with the top 15 probably, but everything just unfolded the way it did. I stayed out of trouble, and I was finally up into the top 10 there at the last half of the race, so I just ran as hard as I could from there.
Yeah, you definitely got the job done. Obviously, with a big field like this, starting back where you did, it's really a test of patience and putting yourself, getting the spots when you can, but also being conservative when you know you don't want to force the issue. And you were able to do that tonight and work your way all the way up through the field. Obviously, on that what was the final restart there, trying to get anything you can. Do you think you had anything for that 8, or was he just too fast there at the end?
I doubt it. I was just going to try to sneak past the outside front row there and maybe pull off a second and stay out of trouble, but you never know what's going to happen. So I've you never know, you might get down under there and get lucky, but as he took it to the green there, it just no one, he was going to time it right with the green flag, and I just got pounded from behind and got knocked down under him and maintained control, and that was all she wrote.
Yeah, and you talk about getting a shot. I mean, obviously a chance to win these things, you got to be up there when it matters the most. You were able to do that. Obviously, the caution came out to end the race a little bit short and to give you a chance maybe to get up there and fight for this win. But you got to be pretty happy about this second place finish. This is a great run, new to the group, like you said, rookie to the series. Great run, great showing for yourself and your team.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Like I said, I'm just happy to get into this league and get my feet wet. Kind of been searching around. I've run a lot of leagues here, and this one looks great. I appreciate John getting me on here on the roster and looking forward to the season.
Awesome. Well, as the season goes, it's Iowa next week, and looking for before that though, we'll give you a chance to give some shout outs here. Any friends, family watching here, or sponsors, anybody that helps you get it done here?
No, not really. I don't think anyone's watching me. I'm kind of a lone wolf, so anyone wants a teammate, let me know.
There you go. Well, hey, for a lone wolf, you did a great job here tonight. Good luck next week in Iowa.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
There you have it. Rookie to the series, finished second here tonight in the O2. That's Mike Kelly. Now to victory lane, Chad Cole. Finally, after a couple of years, Jacob, he's gotten back.
He gets it done, and finally, the 2-year drought is over. Chad Cole, it's been a whole lot of hard work, a whole lot of time spent to get back to be competitive in this series tonight. It all pays dividends, and it all broke loose behind you on that last restart. Were you hoping for the caution, or were you simply hoping that you had enough to hold them off if it went green?
No, that's definitely not how I wanted to do it. Mike Kelly was kind of legging back on the restart just a hair, so I knew I was having to go later and hoping he'd catch up. I didn't think he'd catch up that much and, and get the field all stacked up. Those last couple cautions, I just didn't want to see those. When DeBarro and Dwayne, myself, and Nick we had a decent gap on fifth, and I was really hoping we'd be able to set it amongst the four of ourselves, and these cautions fell. I was able to get Dwayne off pit road off that last pit stop, and that's really the difference. But it kind of doesn't mean a whole lot until I beat Dwayne heads up or someone else. But I just didn't want to do it like that. It feels good to win, but not quite the same as doing it on the green.
It still ends the drought that stretched all the way back to early March of 2014. A cup race was the last one that you took in this league. Tonight, though, you finally get that 67th career RSR victory. How sweet is it after the work you've put in, taking the whole year off basically in 2014, but to come back and struggle the first part of the year to finally get it done tonight?
Yeah, just kind of hard to fathom 67 wins. How long kind of been doing it here at RSR. Been lucky to have a good group racing with me, and well, I don't know. What was the question again?
How sweet is it, my friend, to finally get it done again?
I'm just kind of on cloud 9 right now. I mean, it's been a long time, and it's very sweet. I know. Been a little rusty in these B cars, getting back into it. I don't think I've raced the B cars since the icebreaker of must have been 2013 and 14. So I mean, kind of shaking the rust off, getting the feel for it. And I can tell I'm getting better, but still have a long ways to go.
I know there's a long way to go, still 8 races to go in this season, Chad, and you were good in these cars once upon a time. You're the only 2-time champ of this Icebreaker Series. Can you shake the rust off and contend for this championship? I know a win tonight certainly has to help.
Yeah, I'd like to think so, but I think my work schedule is going to keep me from making all these races on Monday nights. I missed a couple races during the Full Throttle Cup, and I decided to opt out for the championship because I was gonna miss the first 2 weeks of the chase. So it's again going to be the same thing here, but we're gonna give it our all every week and have some fun with these guys.
It was certainly a lot of fun to watch tonight, and definitely fun seeing you be able to mix it up with Dwayne there. For a while, it was you and him battling for second there in the final laps. I mean, that's the battle it's been since 2010, 2011, when this league was just getting on its first legs. How sweet, how much fun was that for you two there in the closing laps to just go to war like old times?
Yeah, I told him. We were on the admin channel together, and I told him I'm just riding here. We're doing a good job. We got a good gap from fourth to fifth, and I just love to settle it between the two of us. And Anthony lost it there in 4, and I think someone else ended up bringing out the caution that kind of put a kibosh on that. But racing with Dwayne's always fun. He's going to give you a good battle, and it's going to be a clean battle too, and that's what's really fun.
I know there's a lot of people that go into this, Chad. Certainly some people that you probably need to thank. Who makes it happen for this 8 crew?
Yeah, my crew chief / teammate Matt Lacrosse and Jimmy North called for 2 tires in the middle portion of the race there and got some decent track position. And luckily caution came out just as the tires were really starting to go away. It was getting pretty slippery in 2 and 4, and caution fell just right. And I think that was really the difference maker in getting some decent track position to keep it up in the top 5 with those guys. So hats off to those guys. And also you folks at LSRTV, you guys do a great job with the broadcast, and all the other admins at RSR for having this great winter series. It's a lot of fun.
It was certainly an exciting race, and hats off to you as well, Chad. The drought's over. A victory again, my friend, and I know you'll be celebrating later. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot, Jacob.
That's it from here in Gatorade Victory Lane, Evan. Chad Cole, your winner. The drought is over for the 67th time in Real Sim Racing history. He takes home the trophy. Back upstairs to you guys.
Chad Cole gets the job done. Mike Kelly second. It was a third for Nick Silver and a fourth for Dwayne Vincent, and had the opportunity to talk to your top 4 finishers here tonight. Let's run you down to the LSRTV full field review for the Michigan 180. Let you know where all your favorite drivers ended up when it was all said and done. A top 5 finish for the 11 of Jonathan Cadell. He ends the race at the highest point on the night. P6 behind him. That was a 7 of Nelson Rivera. E.J. O'Rourke comes home in 7th as well. He peaked at the end. William Hale comes home but 8th spot. Adam Benefiel in 9th, and Matt Lacrosse sneaks in for a top 10 finish.
Coming home in 11th here tonight was Greg Olmo in the 91. Tom Dreierling rebounded and finished 12th. 13th went to Rhett McBride. Eric Arnold finished 14th. 15th went to Mike Rominger. Justin Michael finished 16th. 17th went to Scott Eckridge. Tyler Herr finished 18th. 19th went to William Amaker, and Jimmy North finished 20th.
21st tonight goes to Paul Fugate, 22nd, Kevin Linden, Austin J. Yarbrough in 23rd, 24th, Dale Rentz and Brian Terry through the top 25, Cisco Scaramuza and Stephanie Lessentine, 26th and 27th. They were both inside of the top 8 after they got turned in that race-ending caution flag. Behind them, you'll find the 45 of Mike Montesi, last driver on the lead lap, the number 9 of Anthony DeBarro in 29th, and 30th, 2 laps down, was Jeff Ward.
Joseph LaPlaca finished in the 31st spot. 32nd to Nicholas Orr. 33rd was David Comstock. Christopher Hurlow finished 34th. Jason Swan in the 35th spot. 36th went to Jared Como. Corbin Himstreet was 37th. Daniel Eberhardt 38th. And J. Randall Watkins finished in 39th.
And an A D&S for the 00 and the 40. A 39-car field tonight at the Michigan International Speedway brings race 2 of 10 to a close. And one more time, Thomas, with you as our driver analyst. I think this is pretty much what we expected, maybe minus that final caution flag, because all of that happened very quickly. We were expecting about 6 to 7 yellows. The numbers didn't lie. It was a race based a lot on tires, but an impressive win and fun to see Chad Cole back in an RSR victory lane for sure. What were your final thoughts on this one? What did we take away?
It was a good race. There was a lot of good side-by-side racing, which, obviously it's good to see the veterans and the rookies doing a good job being able to race with each other. Obviously, turn 2, problematic as always in Michigan, but you can't really fault the track for that. It's just, the way that the cars are and the tires are. But regardless, it was a good race. Points racing wise, it's definitely kind of shown who's got a really good chance of winning the championship now, and it's going to be fun to see what the ones that are behind can do if they can make up any points. Really, it's going to be fun next week to see how many cautions we can bring, if we can do an over-under before that race gets started. But most of all, it's just good to see Chad Cole back in victory lane. It's been a real long drought for him, and he's a really good racer, obviously one of the best RSR has to offer, and he races you clean, doesn't race you like an idiot, and there's a reason why he's considered a champion, and it's good to see him back in that victory circle.
And it's unfortunate, Andy, to hear that Chad Cole might not make all of these races because he's your championship leader now through 2 out of the 10 races on the year. So 2 down, 8 to go. He's at the top, though, by 2 points over Nelson Rivera in the updated championship standings. So Nelson Rivera, 2nd overall. Dwayne Vincent is 3rd in points, just 4 points back. 5 points back is Eric Arnold in 4th. And Rhett McBride is 5th in points, just 11 points back. We have not seen anybody have a really good 1st and 2nd race, but the guys up there near the top just didn't have a terrible race so far. But I would agree, Michigan was fun, Talladega was fun. I'm looking forward to it, but I enjoyed this race. I think the 4 and 5 wide was quite impressive. I'm not sure we'll have room for that next week at Iowa, but it was always a good race to come to Michigan.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. 4 or 5 wide. The only time you're going to see that at Iowa is when we got a wreck and everyone's trying to dodge all the cars that are spinning. So, but Michigan was a great race. Obviously, the draft comes into play when you come here. Probably a lot more, as far as the way these cars race each other than it does at a Talladega or Daytona. So they're able to spread it out. You saw different lines through the corners, different guys taking different approaches to the race also, and a little bit of track position games early in the race we saw by our eventual winner, Chad Cole, and overall it was great, but I really think it is unfortunate he won't make all the races to bid for this championship. But hey, if he keeps on winning like this and the ones that he can, maybe he can make a bid to be in the top 5 or so. But listen, I think the cream's going to start to rise to the top here, Evan, as we start clicking these weeks off. You start getting to Iowa, it's a driver's track, and it's a real tough track to get around with all the bumps in 1 and 2. So it'll be interesting to see how this thing unfolds, but I definitely think you'll see the real championship contenders really start to surface as we get through next week's race in Iowa.
Every single driver through 14th position in this race made up at least 7 spots from the start of the race. The first driver that you find in the negative was Mike Rominger, who comes home in 15th that started 2nd. Your race winner all the way through the top 14 vary from starting 9th through 40th. It was definitely a fun race. Those are the numbers that I like to see, that you get to know that this race was definitely a wild one. Iowa can provide the same. Until we get there, though, we've got to wrap things up from round number 2. Do want to thank all of the partners at Real Sim Racing, Gary Mercer, Trucking, iRacing.com, Inside Sim Racing TV, DisabledRacers.com, as well as Derek Spear Designs at Race Chaser Online. For more information, go to RealSimRacing.com, and you can stay up to date with everything on LSRTV on our website at LiveSimRacing.com or on Facebook at Facebook.com/LiveSimRacingTV. We have a week full of sim racing action. The truck's back on Wednesday evening. Upstate Racing comes to LSRTV on Thursday. Friday night, the Rodcar Truck Tour, the iSuperspeedway.com Racing Series doubleheader. And Sunday, the first annual Fast Snowball Derby. That full schedule can be found at livesimracing.com/broadcast-schedule. The race that we look forward to, Jacob, is round 3. We're going to be at Iowa for 150 laps next Monday night.
Oh boy, I've got 2 words for that, Evan. Unmitigated chaos. It is going to be wild. It's going to be crazy. As Chad said, the key is staying out of trouble because it's going to be a little bit of a mess and a whole lot of fun to watch. So keep an eye out for it. We go short tracking. Anytime we go short tracking here on LSRTV, there's going to be bent fenders, bent sheet metal, and bent tempers at the end of the night, Evan. Those are my 3 keys to next week's race.
Bullring. That'll be a fun way to describe Iowa, and we look forward until round number 3. Until then, though, we got 2 races in the books, 8 to go, and a Michigan 180 now behind us. So until next time, on behalf of the entire LSRTV team and for the broadcast crew tonight, for Thomas George, Andy Kessler, Jacob Seelman, and myself, Evan Pasoko, along with our executive producer, Laura Lawson, we thank you so much for tuning in. Congratulations to Chad Cole. He's back in Real Sim Racing Victory Lane. This has been a presentation of Real Sim Racing on LSRTV. Until next time, good night from the Irish Hills of Michigan. We'll see you next Monday from the Iowa Speedway, only on LSRTV and iRacing Live. We'll see you then.